Most men you actually want to date are not good at dating. So we have to help them build their confidence, warm up, open up. And if we get there and decide I'm not interested and I'm not trying and I don't want to give this guy the wrong idea, so I'm just going to act like a friend until I can leave, no one has the opportunity for anything to happen. There's just like two walls talking to each other. They can feel that. They know what's happening. They're not stupid. So we have to stay in it and go, I'm going to find something to like about this guy, and become super invested in finding something to like about them and turning your energy that way, staying flirtatious, staying with it. And then when their confidence grows, you might actually be attracted to them.
Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. My name is May Bugenhagen, your host. I help men all across the U.S. meet lovely Asian women, and the men are the paying clients, and the women join my database for free. So if you're a lovely single woman out there, I would love for you to check me out at 2asianmatchmakers.com. And every week I have two guests on my show, and today I have the lovely Daliya Karnofsky. She is a dating coach, podcast host, and marriage and family therapist, specializing in dating, romantic relationships, and couples therapy. She makes dating fun, and she points out that dating doesn't have to be a nightmare. So I am so interested in speaking with Daliya today and how we can make dating fun. Hi, Daliya. Welcome to the show.
Hello, May. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Tell the audience a little bit about how you got started and how you intertwined the date coaching aspect with therapy, and pretty much kind of a little background about you.
Sure. So I actually started out as a performer. I was an actor. I went to NYU. I lived in New York City. I dated everywhere. I had so much fun. And every piece of art performance that I made was about dating and about other people's dating lives. So I had a live baking show where I would give people advice in the audience based on kind of like baking metaphors, which there are actually a lot when it comes to dating. And then I moved out to LA for acting, also for a relationship, not in that relationship anymore. It's fine. I'm in a great, wonderful, beautiful marriage. But it got me out to LA, and I started a singles comedy dating show that was live. Everyone in the audience was single. We had comedians, and then in between comedians, I would pull people up on stage and coach them. And from there, I got kind of into the coaching, and people from the audience would ask me to coach them privately. And I said, sure, let's try it. I started by rewriting people's Tinder profiles. And just kind of seeing how that went. I really had a lot of fun with it. I love online dating. I went through various single periods where I would really be out in the dating world and having a ball, and then get into a relationship again. But I really kind of got to know the landscape and all the ups and downs of dating. And then I just brought my interests together, started coaching a lot more, started working for a boutique matchmaking company in LA called Matchmakers in the City. I coach for them. I coach most of their clients before they start the dating process, so that we can go in there with kind of the right attitude, right plan for them. And then I started coaching clients also privately. And then COVID hit, and I said, well, I'm not performing at the moment, so maybe I should try something else. And for a while, I'd been wanting to go a little bit deeper with my dating clients rather than just treating the symptoms, so to speak, of dating. I wanted to be able to treat the underlying issue, which a lot of times requires a little bit of deeper work, therapy. So I became a marriage and family therapist during COVID. I'm currently an associate marriage and family therapist at a group practice in Los Angeles. I love working with couples. I love working with subject matter of dating, heartbreak, breakups, how to make a relationship fresh and new and fun, how to enjoy dating, all of that. And then I still do the coaching as well for when people just want me to yell at them and get right to the point, because I love doing that. So I do both those things together. I host a dating advice podcast as well called Not Your Therapist, because I started it before I was a therapist, but technically I'm still not your therapist. So I get to keep the name, you know? So yeah, that's kind of my story. It was a slow evolution, but maybe it was always written in the cards. It was always there somewhere. So now I just can treat people on every level when it comes to figuring out how to enjoy your dating life.
I love it. Now, you mentioned that you want to make dating fun. So what are some ways that you advise people to make dating fun and not frustrated and not miserable, and just have a better attitude about it?
Yeah, totally. So number one thing I would say is people come to me a lot when they're kind of like 35, 36. I don't want to waste time. I want to take dating seriously. I'm ready. I have to put the work in. I got to make it my job. I got to find someone. No more messing around. Got to take it seriously. And I'm like, that is the number one way to actually waste time, is by saying, I'm not going to waste time, because there's no such thing as wasting time when you're dating. The caveat to that would be someone like openly tells you, I never, ever, ever want a long-term relationship. I don't see myself with children. I don't want this. And you're like, maybe we'll keep dating. Okay, that might be a waste of time. Other than that, at least in those beginning stages of dating, even with that person, I would say keep going on the dates, because you learn something about yourself. You learn about what you want. You learn about other people. You have some experiences that make you who you are. You become better at dating. I firmly believe dating is a skill, much like going to the gym. It's like you wouldn't go to the Olympics without training first. So you got to have some experience under your belt. You have to know what you like, what you're looking for, what works for you, what doesn't. And you don't know. Even if you think you don't know until you start actually meeting people in the real world. And then you can't be going into it with like, here's my checklist and here's my list of 10 questions to find out if this person is going to be my husband or not, or my wife or my partner, whatever. Like, you have to go in, I'm going to meet a new person. I'm going to learn about them. I'm going to see if I have fun with them. I'm going to have an experience and go from there. See if you like the person before you decide if you're going to be in love with the person. Just see if you like them. And if there's any interest there, go on another date. If you're just curious about them. I think we get to a point where we're like, time to be serious. Can't waste any time. Got to cut to the chase. And there is no shortcut, especially because most long-term connections happen over a longer amount of time. They're not usually the ones that you just click right away and you just know. That's usually a bad sign. So I say, go out there, have fun, have a lot of experiences, date as if you're still in college. Don't decide that because you're a certain age, it's time to take it seriously. Date as if you're in a bar with 1,000 people. Your person is standing at the back of the bar and you have to get through those 1,000 people to meet your person. So it might be one date, it might be a year, it might be a week, but each one is worthwhile because it's moving you a step closer to what you want.
So you're saying somebody who decides to get serious, decides to settle down, they should just relax and still date and have fun and get to know themselves. And there's no such thing as a bad date because you still learn something about yourself, or hopefully you are a decent enough person to learn something about your date as well, or just to practice carrying on a conversation. Because what if someone's a little awkward or a little shy, or it's always nice to get practice, right? To be a better dater. So
Absolutely. Yes. I think we underestimate people. People need some time to warm up, especially largely the people you actually want to be in a relationship with are not going to be experts at dating. They're going to be an expert at you, but that takes time. That might be the first, second, third date where you're like, I actually kind of like this person. But if you're just racing through this checklist and making these decisions left and right because you don't have time, you're going to miss out on so many good people and important experiences. And I really do think you have to relax because also, with modern technology, if a family is something you want, you will find a way to have it. And what you don't want is to settle for someone because you're in a rush to get to this benchmark and be with the wrong person. Wouldn't you rather be with someone that you really, really love and want to be with? And you'll figure it out together if a family is important to both of you, But kind of rushing because of this imagined clock, you're just going to miss so many wonderful opportunities.
that's great, great, great advice. Now, what else would you suggest that someone do to make dating fun? Like, what are other tips that you share with your clients?
Well, okay. So first of all, get out of the mindset of, I got to rush. I got to have a checklist. I got to this, that. Figure out what is fun for you. Make your dates things that you would do on your own and someone else is coming along. It doesn't have to be, let's go sit in this fancy restaurant and interview each other. It can be, hey, I feel like ice cream. I'm going to walk to the nearest ice cream shop because it's hot out. Do you want to come with me? It's casual. It's easy. It's an hour or two. This is first date. We're talking first date. Doesn't have to be the be all end all. It's, I'm going to meet an interesting person. I'm going to act like I'm on vacation. You know how when you're on vacation, you're like, okay, I'll wear that thing I never wear. I'll try that drink I never try. I'll go to that place I never go to. Like, I'll talk to that person I never normally would. That's the vibe we want on a first date, on a second date, on a third date. We want to be in this kind of other headspace of not, this is just an extension of my work day, but rather this is where I get to relax and have fun and have an adventure and meet a new person. Another thing I'll say about going on lots of dates, even with people that don't seem, quote, serious to you, is you don't know who they know. You don't know if they might be like, you're not a match, but I had such a great time with you. Would you want to meet my cousin? Or you're not a match, but I had such a great time with you. Should we be coworkers? Should we be friends? There's so many different ways that connection can happen, and new friends lead to new connections, that as long as you're kind and you put your best foot forward and have a fun time, you don't know what you're building for your future.
That
So I
is so
think it's right. It's like not just what's in front of you. There's so much more connected to it. And you want to be the best version of yourself. So you want to figure out at least an hour between whatever the last thing you're doing and your date, so that you have time to decompress, put on a good playlist, talk to a friend, lie on your bed, stare at the ceiling, do your makeup, take a shower, go for a run, whatever gets you in the right headspace to go, I'm going on vacation for a couple hours. I'm going to have an experience. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to learn about this new person in front of me. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to make it fun for both of us.
Okay, so what if you've gone on 3 or 4 dates and you're like, you maybe have kissed this person before, and now you're like, you know what, I don't think we're a match. Like, what is the best way to end the dating with somebody? How do you break up with somebody?
That's pretty straightforward. I think you just say, hey, I've had such a great time getting to know you. I don't think the long-term potential is there, but I wish you the best of luck. Don't ghost,
Yeah.
because that just puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It's bad dating karma. You don't have to explain. You don't have to have a reason. But you can just say, I'm not really feeling the connection, but I've had such a great time with you. Thank you for taking the time to get to know me, and then move on.
That's great. What percentage would you say people are ghosting people nowadays? Would you say half?
It's hard to say. For a while, it was a huge thing. I think it's less of a thing now because people know that it's kind of the immature thing to do. Um, some people still do. I think it's called breadcrumbing or something like that, where they don't ghost. They just send little kind of meaningless texts for like a long time so they can say they're not ghosting, but they're still staying in touch. I don't know. I'm an optimist. I want to say that ghosting is going down and people are becoming more human. I don't hear about it all that often. I also don't think it counts as ghosting if you haven't been dating for like at least a month. If
Right.
it's 2 dates, 3 dates, it's not ghosting. That's just someone not interested and maybe not with the best communication skills, but you weren't in a relationship. So I
Right.
think we've also gotten really into taking these terms and kind of like applying them to make sense of the world. And dating didn't used to be this way. Before it was like, we can constantly be in contact all the time. And if we're not, that person's ghosting me. It used to be, we went on a date. I didn't hear from them again. Guess it wasn't a match.
Right.
But now, because it's like, well, they could be in contact with me. They could be sending me pictures of their lunch. They could be sending me memes all the time and they're not. Then it's ghosting. That's not ghosting.
Yeah.
Ghosting is literally you are actually dating. You are in a dating relationship and they disappear.
Right.
That's a different thing.
Now, what if you've gone out with a match for 1 or 2 or 3 dates? How do you keep things fun and interesting in between? Like, what do you suggest people do to keep the momentum going?
It's a good question. I think that the texting that we do nowadays creates a false sense of intimacy and momentum. I don't think it actually helps us. I think we should be leaving a lot more to talk about when we're in person, especially if you're just starting to get to know someone. Give it some space. I think texting is for like a daily check-in is nice, in the morning, in the evening, or hey, how was that meeting you were nervous about? Um, and then logistics, planning. When is our next date? Other than that, we don't need to be keeping tabs on each other and communicating like that. I can't tell you the percentage of women that I work with that would like their partner or their person they're dating or whatever it is to text them more. We don't actually need that much communication. We really don't. It's so much better to wonder what they're doing and be excited to hear about it. So I would say rather than figuring out how to text more or what to text in between dates, go on more dates, see them again, or phone call, FaceTime. It's old fashioned, but if you really want to be in contact with the person, then have a real conversation. Texting back and forth about deep feelings, everything I did that day, what my mom said on the phone, like that all should be saved for in person. And I feel the same way about couples having serious conversations over text. Not appropriate, not helpful, because we can't read tone. And people have way too much time to think about it, pick it apart, misunderstandings. So to answer your question, I think like daily check-ins are great, or like I saw this and I thought of you, but we don't need to be going back and forth. Hopefully we're all adults with jobs and we have other things to be doing. So it's just, I'm excited for tonight or can't wait to see you on Tuesday. Little joke, little thoughtful here and there, 2-3 exchanges, but not the all day thing, because that's actually the opposite of momentum, in my opinion.
So when should the guy make his move? Like, is it the third date? Do people still think about, oh, the third date, we're going to kiss or we're going to sleep together? Like, what are your clients saying? When should they progress with the intimacy between them?
It's really personal. I was someone when I was dating that it was mandatory that I made out on every first date, because I was like, that's how I'm going to know if I'm attracted to them. Because sometimes you think you're not, and then you make out with them and you're like, wait a minute, maybe I am attracted to them. So I kind of made it a game for myself. That's me. Not everyone is comfortable with kissing strangers. I personally, that was what made dating fun for me, was like knowing I'm going to get a fun makeout at the end of the night, regardless of whether I'm into the person or not. Because I got so much information and I got to feel like this fun college girl, For other people, I think by the third date, there should be a kiss, because like I said, we get so much information from that. And if we're not doing that, we really can't know if we're attracted to someone or not. And it can go both ways. I think for guys, I actually think it's really sexy and sweet to say, can I kiss you? Or what would happen if I kissed you right now? Get the consent, get it. And then you don't have to worry about having it. For girls, if you're ready, you can say, you can kiss me. Or what would happen if you kissed me right now? Like, it can be flirty fun to get and give consent. It's really important, especially in this day and age, for everyone to feel comfortable. But it's also really important to still make that connection and not be afraid of each other.
So you're saying it's not unattractive if a guy says, can I kiss you right now? Or what would happen if I kissed you right now?
Personally, don't find it unattractive. And I think we can't be saying that's unattractive while also saying you better make triple sure you have my consent before kissing me. We can't have both ways. So you can't tell a guy, you're not a man if you ask for my consent, but you better ask for my consent or you're disgusting. Like, we can't, that's not fair. So we have to decide. And if we don't want them asking, we can tell them. Like, we can make it super obvious, like I used to do, and just lean in until they had no other choice. That's kind of my method. But I think that physical contact is really important, especially to make the dating feel different than a friendship or a job interview. As far as sleeping together goes, I think that's personal. My general advice on that is don't sleep with someone, and this goes to all genders. Don't sleep with someone until whatever happens during the sex will not affect how you feel about them. So if it goes great, if the sex is like mind-blowing amazing, it's not going to make you like them more emotionally. If it goes horrible, like guy can't get it up because he's nervous, it's not going to make you lose interest. You're going to be like, we can work on this. I think you have to have, as much as possible, a solid standing emotionally on how you feel about them, where you're like, no matter how the sex goes, I know how I feel about them. And I think that takes at least, I'm going to say 6, 7, 8, 9 dates. And that's not to say you can't do other things. You can do plenty of teenage makeouts. You can do fooling around, but the actual intercourse really does have an effect on both people in terms of how they feel about each other and how vulnerable they feel. And for that, we need to wait until we feel super, super, super solid about this person, both about how we feel about them and how they feel about us. If there are questions, if there's mental gymnastics going on, if we're not sure and we do it to try and figure something out, we're doing it for the wrong reasons and it's not going to feel good.
I like your tips on the kissing part. Are there anything the women can say or do to welcome the kiss, to let the guy know it's okay to kiss them? Like, what else were you doing when you were single that worked?
I think that I was just super open. I mean, I had in my dating profile that I was affectionate.
Mm.
So I think already people knew that they could kind of approach me in a certain way, not inappropriate, but just like that is something about me. And I would kind of always be the first one to make physical contact on a date, whether it's like a hand on the arm, a hand on the knee, whatever it is, a hug when we first get there with a little squeeze, not just like a weird side friendship hug, but something that says, I'm comfortable physically, and so you can feel comfortable with me. They're not going to do something crazy because we're in a public place, but just let's break this barrier as quickly as possible so that we can see if there's something here. So I think a lot of it is physical body language, being open. I really recommend sitting next to each other if possible, rather than across. So if you can sit at the bar, if you can sit at a round table or in a booth, I would always be the person that was like, I'm going to come sit next to you in the booth. So I don't want to sit across from you and feel like I'm at a job interview. I'm going to sit next to you so we can actually figure out what's going on. Now, of course, there were times that I was just like, I am not attracted to this
Okay.
person. And I would kind of like put a little more friendshipy feel on it. But for the most part, I really gave everyone a chance because I was like, I might be surprised. I might learn something here. And I will certainly have more fun if there's some flirtiness going on than if I'm keeping them at a distance and watching the clock till I can go home.
Okay, very good, very good. So what if you're not interested in someone? What do you do then? What other body language or ways you would act to let the guy know you're not interested? Or should you not do that? Should you just try to be a good dater and then have him ask you out and then politely decline?
So I kind of don't think there are times where someone is like, absolutely not, I am not interested in them. Like, there's some huge red flag for something they said, or maybe they smell really bad, or there's just something horrible. Okay. In those situations, keep your distance, still put your best foot forward, have a friendly, kind, open conversation, because remember, you don't know who they know. You don't know where this could go. Stay there and then leave. And if they ask you out again, you can just say, I had such a great time with you, but I don't feel a romantic connection. I wish you the best of luck. Fine. Generally, if you just show up and you're like, no, not really my type, I don't really feel it, or I'm not really excited about this person, or he's not masculine enough for me, or whatever, stay in it. Act as if you are into them. It is not leading them on. It is giving them a chance to change your mind. Because when we kind of decide, I'm going to go for it anyway, I'm going to act as if I'm into them, I'm going to flirt, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to make physical contact. Doesn't have to be overt, but just a little to let them know I'm not disgusted by them. Their confidence will build. And when their confidence builds, they become more attractive to us. Most men you actually want to date are not good at dating. So we have to help them build their confidence, warm up, open up. And if we get there and decide I'm not interested and I'm not trying and I don't want to give this guy the wrong idea, so I'm just going to act like a friend until I can leave, no one has the opportunity for anything to happen. There's just like two walls talking to each other. They can feel that. They know what's happening. They're not stupid. So we have to stay in it and go, I'm going to find something to like about this guy, and become super invested in finding something to like about them and turning your energy that way, staying flirtatious, staying with it, making them think they're succeeding. And then when their confidence grows, you might actually be attracted to them. And then something can happen.
So you're saying continue to be a good dater, be flirtatious, be affectionate,
Yes.
and see if he comes out of his shell and
Right.
can impress you and have a good date. Okay, okay.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that you would put affectionate on your profile to let someone know that you are an affectionate person, that you're warm. What if you're not a huggy, feely person and you probably won't kiss him on the first, second, maybe third date? Like, are there certain keywords people are writing in their profiles to say that they're not affectionate?
No, I mean, I think a lot of your personality comes across in your profile. So as long as you're being super specific in regards to your personality, people are going to get a sense of who you are. You don't want to be figuring out how to come across like someone else. I wouldn't have put affectionate if I'm not a super affectionate person to whom that is really important. So you want to put what's really important. This is why one of my tips for online dating is don't waste any time describing the person you're looking for. That's a waste of space. No one is self-selecting. Spend all of your time on your profile giving a super specific picture of who you are, because you want people who are attracted to that. And you want people to be able to read your profile and get like a little bite, like a little sensory experience of a moment with you from reading your profile. So if you're someone who's a little closed off, introverted, whatever it is, you don't like people touching you, just be super specific about who you are on your profile. You don't have to say that, but whatever other traits go along with that or whatever else about you, the right person is going to pick up on it. And then on the date, if someone touches you, like if it's a casual touch, you might just have to breathe through it. If you really have, sensory issues or just really averse to it, you can say, I so appreciate that you're building a connection with me. I'm not comfortable with physical touch until I know a person a little bit better. I
Okay.
always say just be super explicit and authentic. So you could even, I used to text guys ahead of time of dates and say, I don't like that part where I walk in the bar and have to look for you. So can we meet outside? I encourage people to have needs and tell the person they're going on a date with what they are. Help that person succeed with you. So if you know, hey, I'm so excited to meet you. I want to let you know I'm not into physical touch until I know someone for a while. So don't be offended if I don't touch you or if I keep a little distance. It's not personal. It's just what I'm comfortable with. Tell them ahead of time. Why not?
I like the example where you said, I'm excited to meet you. I just don't like going into a bar and looking for you. So can we meet outside? Like, what are other things that you can say to set up your date to succeed with you?
I think whatever it is, that you need. So I also used to say, hey, I don't want to sit interview style. Can we sit at the bar? Or if you're cold, hey, can I borrow your jacket? Or it's loud in here. Can we sit outside? Or, can we always, you can ask, can we go somewhere near me? I encourage women, especially let the man come to you, obviously not to your home, but pick a place you're comfortable with. Whatever is going to make you comfortable, make you relaxed on that date, whether it's something you know ahead of time or something when you get there, have those needs and express them. You're helping the other person.
Right.
They want to know how to take care of you and how to make you happy. And if you both sit there with you thinking something the whole time and not telling them what it is, they're going to feel that something is weird. You're going to spend the whole time obsessing about this thing. And again, connection can't happen. So whatever needs to get out of the way for you to be able to be present and have a good time, express it.
I love it. I love it. It's kind of like if you're sitting there freezing and you're cold, you're not going to have a good time. You can't focus on what he's saying. But just by having his jacket or something, you're going to feel 10 times better and you're going to be more focused on the date. So that's great. I know before we started recording, we mentioned, hey, are there certain date tips that you agree with or date tips that you don't agree with? Are there certain date tips that you hear, you've been doing this for a while, but that you're just like, no, I'm not going to teach my clients that? What are some of the date tips that you disagree with?
I think whenever it's something testing the other person, so there's a lot of like, ask the person this and see what they say, or like, go for the check and see what they do, or, just kind of like, tell them this and see how they respond. And I just think we're so quick to judge each other. And we're so looking for those red flags, looking for ways to discount the person. And we think that is our way of, again, coming back to not wasting time. But we're humans. We can't know what the other person likes or wants. If you look at so many couples, if you looked at them on paper, they would not match. That we can't try and game the system ahead of time. We can't put something on our profile and weed out all the bad ones. Like we are human beings. We are multidimensional. We are complicated. And so we want to give each other the tools to succeed. I tell all women, do not do the fake out on the date. Just let them pay and say thank you. That's it. Let them pay and say thank you. Give them the answers to the test. And this is my thing. If you need something, don't wait for them to figure it out and then judge them when they don't. They are not yet an expert in you. And again, you don't want the person who's an expert at dating, who's so charming, who knows how to do everything. You want the person that is going to listen to your needs and provide. And so let's stop testing each other. Let's stop judging each other. Let's stop looking for red flags. Real red flags are like substance use problems, abuse, major personality disorders, which we are overdiagnosing, by the way. And, just horrible, horrible things are red flags. They're not something you would have to look for. They're not something that, well, he mentioned he has a roommate, so that's a red flag. Or he said he's really close with his mom, and that's a red flag. Those are not red flags. No, we are getting distracted. Look for green flags. Look for things to like about this person. I guarantee if you met them in a different setting, you'd be like, well, I don't care that he lives with his mom. I just like him so much. Because there's something that happens in dating where we feel this right to be more judgmental that doesn't when we kind of meet someone over a long period of time and we get to know their personality first. So look for green flags, give someone a fighting chance, and give them the answers to your test.
I love that. Give them the answers to your test. Right. I don't understand why people test people and find reasons to either get offended or find reasons to say no or find reasons to not go for it. So, okay, these are good tips. Now, before I let you go, can you talk to the audience who's listening that maybe it's a Daliya special tip that you have that in your years of doing this and your years of now being a therapist that you've kind of had these aha moments that you can share with like your best friend or your cousin or your sister or somebody that you're like, this is a good tip. I really wish everyone would follow this.
Well, I've shared a lot of my good ones. Let me think. I mean, you and I were talking about this a bit before the podcast started, that we are both married to younger men. And this is another place where height, age, okay, faith is important to people. But again, I just want to say, expand your thinking. Don't get married, so to speak, to these ideas of what is a deal breaker and what is the most important thing to you. I have dated younger men almost my whole life. I'm someone that people would always be like, you need to date an older man because you're an old soul. But older men, I didn't like the way they made me feel like a little girl or like they knew better than me. I love younger men. I think that they have like a very different respect for me. Also, they match my energy. I have a young energy. And that's what worked for me. If I had stayed married to this other idea, I would never have met my husband, who, by the way, was a blind date set up by my hairdresser. And I did not Google him, did not look at him on Instagram, had no idea what he looked like walking into the date. And I can't recommend this enough because I didn't have a preconceived idea about him and whether I would like him. Honestly, if I had seen a picture of him, I would have said, no, thanks. He's not my type. Thank God I didn't have the opportunity to do that. And it grew over time. So I think people just need to get out of their very small thinking that that is somehow going to save them time, and expand what they're willing. The height thing drives me crazy. There are so many ways for a man to care for and be a man for, and whatever the woman is looking for a woman. The idea that he has to be a certain height so I can wear my heels, you're crazy. Go to Europe. Every man is shorter than a woman, and it is so hot. Okay, short kings, look them up. The other thing I will say, I did think of this, is people love to have a list of like traits they're looking for in a partner, like outgoing, upstanding, family oriented, sense of humor, da 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 da. And I say, take that list, narrow it down to the top 3 or 4. Then take those adjectives and turn them into how you want to feel when you are with your partner. So if the adjective is like funny, You want to feel tickled. You want to feel amused. You want to feel excited. How do you want to feel inside? Pick 3 or 4. These are like, I'm not even going to call them deal breakers. I'm going to call them priorities or guideposts. Those are how you want to feel inside. That's your North Star. That's what you ask yourself when you're like, I've been on 3, 4 dates with this person. Should I keep going? Come back to your list. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel safe. I want to feel stimulated. Do I feel those ways with this person? Then yes, I will keep going, rather than trying to objectively judge a person by who they are without even knowing them. Because a lot of the traits people look for, those aren't things you can know about a person in a short period of time. All you can go on is how you feel when you're with them. And that's really, really important. Also, get rid of this idea of the spark. The spark will kill us all. It's just anxiety. It's almost always going to take you in the wrong direction. You want a slow burn that grows over time. You do not want a spark that explodes and then fizzles out real quick when you figure out who they actually are.
Yeah, I can recall dates that I really had a chemistry spark with somebody. And then it's just that. It's just a spark on the first date, second date. Yes, there's chemistry, but then it just fizzles out and it just dies. And I wonder how many marriages have failed based on just meeting somebody and getting married right away because you had a spark with him. Like you didn't even really know him. So getting back to that age thing. Yeah. So you're saying be more open-minded if you've always needed to date a guy 1 or 2 years or 5 or 7 years older, dial it down a little bit and see if there's a guy who's 4 or 5 years younger, right? I mean, there are mature guys that might work out with you and make you feel good and respect you and appreciate you and all that good stuff. Is that what you're saying?
That's absolutely what I'm saying. I think 10 years up, 10 years down on either direction, like 10 years in either direction is fair game, because you also don't know. Like we assume, well, but I'm close to wanting a kid. And what if he doesn't? You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out together. What matters is your connection. The rest you can figure out. So expand your thinking. You don't know where you're going to find them and you don't want to cut yourself off.
I love it. I love it. Well, Daliya, I will put all of your contact information in the show notes. And I appreciate you being a guest today. And for men out there who are interested in hiring a matchmaker, want to meet lovely Asian women, I would love for you to contact me at 2asianmatchmakers.com. And ladies, please get in my database so I can find you, register with me, and fill out a profile. And I would love to set you up for free. Thank you, Daliya. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to everybody else later. Thank you.